It is annoying that it's like so commercial, man. I mean, this says those like $35 or whatever.
I mean, you want us to stay still, stay 69? No, we want to move forward. This is what concerts are today. They're business. It's great.
Woodstock brings to mind the iconic 1969 festival, a symbol of peace, music, and countercultural rebellion that defined a generation. When Woodstock 94 was announced as a 25th anniversary celebration, the expectations soared. Promoted as 2 more days of peace and music, it aimed to channel the spirit of the original while welcoming a new wave of fans. But what unfolded in Saugerties, New York that August weekend strayed far from that ideal. Planning a revival.
With 1,200 security guards, 2,800 portable toilets, 9 miles of chain-link fence, metal detectors, and a canine squad rooting out reefer, times most definitely have changed.
When Michael Lang and the original Woodstock team began organizing the 25th anniversary of the legendary 1969 festival, they aimed to strike a balance between nostalgia and relevance. Lang envisioned a massive, peaceful gathering that would carry on the legacy of the original while appealing to the youth of the 90s. To make it happen, the organizers chose Winston Farm in Saugerties, New York, as the new venue. The location, about 100 miles north of New York City and not far from the original site in Bethel, seemed idyllic on paper, but as preparations began, it became clear this festival would be facing a whole new set of challenges. Unlike the original event, Woodstock 94 was very much a commercial venture. Tickets were priced at $135, steep for 1994, and the site was enclosed by fences in an attempt to control entry and keep out those who hadn't paid. There were rules in place restricting outside food, drinks, and especially alcohol. But with so many people pouring in, the thin chain-link fencing and overwhelmed staff proved completely ineffective. Security and logistics began to crumble even before the music started. Although only about 164,000 tickets were officially sold, an estimated 350,000 people ended up attending, creating a crowd far beyond what the infrastructure could reasonably support. One of the earliest signs of trouble was the weather. While Friday started out hot and dry, a major storm rolled in, and by Saturday afternoon, the rain turned open fields into slick mud pits. This made walking a messy ordeal and camping nearly impossible for many. For a festival of this magnitude, basic comforts like dry ground, safe access to water, and functional sanitation quickly became unmanageable. Organizers scrambled to address the worsening conditions, but it was already too late to regain control. Medical services were also strained beyond their limits. While the festival did have tents and staff on site, the sheer number of attendees and the chaos that unfolded meant they were constantly overwhelmed. Over 5,000 people were treated at medical tents, and 800 had to be taken to hospitals. Tragically, 3 deaths were confirmed over the course of the weekend, one from diabetic complications, another from a ruptured spleen, and one under less clear circumstances. These fatalities added a somber undertone to what was intended as a jubilant anniversary celebration. Despite all the problems on the ground, promoters pushed forward, trying to keep focus on the music and performances. But as things spiraled further out of control, even the festival's biggest acts got swept into the disorder. The mud, the mayhem, the music.
They're now calling themselves the Mud People, the hundreds of thousands of music lovers braving heavy downpours and deep mud to see more than 40 acts perform.
It's awesome. It only happens every 25 years, man.
The defining feature of Woodstock 94 wasn't the music or the message, it was the mud. The rain that drenched the site on Saturday transformed Winston Farm into a swamp. What began as a mild inconvenience quickly escalated into full-scale anarchy as mud became both an obstacle and a weapon. Attendees slipped and slid across the grounds, some embracing the mess, while others struggled just to stay upright. Tents flooded, sleeping bags were soaked, and many fans were forced to abandon their campsites altogether. Rather than retreat from the chaos, many performers leaned into it. One of the most memorable instances was on day 2 when 9 Inch Nails took to the stage. Just before the set, the band members wrestled each other in the mud backstage, emerging completely covered and dripping as they performed in front of one of the festival's densest crowds. Their grimy aesthetic blended perfectly with their industrial sound, and though frontman Trent Reznor later dismissed the set as technically poor, the performance of Happiness and Slavery went on to win a Grammy. Primus also found themselves entangled with the muddy madness during their performance of My Name is Mud. Fans began pelting the stage with handfuls of muck, prompting bassist and singer Les Claypool to call out the crowd, joking that such behavior was, quote, a sign of small and insignificant genitalia. Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains joined Primus for a guest spot, but even that moment of musical collaboration couldn't overshadow the sludge-fueled chaos. But no act's mud moment would be remembered more than Green Day's. On Sunday, during their performance of Paper Lanterns, frontman Billy Joe Armstrong turned a playful interaction into a full-on mud fight. Fans launched globs of wet earth towards the stage as Armstrong egged them on. In the midst of the frenzy, bassist Mike Dirnt was mistaken for a fan by security and tackled so hard he lost a tooth. The incident wasn't just physically painful, it prompted a gag order from festival management and required emergency dental care. Still, the exposure from their set helped push their album Dookie into mainstream success, making it one of the festival's only clear career-boosting moments. While some artists found ways to thrive in the chaos, others were less enthusiastic. Aerosmith didn't hit the stage until around 4 a.m., following an intense fireworks show courtesy of Metallica. Lead singer Steven Tyler remarked that it, quote, rained like a cow pissing on a flat rock, a crude but accurate depiction of the miserable conditions. Yet, even with late-night scheduling and technical hurdles, the band delivered a solid set that nodded to their own memories of the original Woodstock. The mud became more than a setting, it became a participant. It swallowed shoes, drenched clothes, and shaped how the audience and artists experienced every minute. Bizarre performances. Woodstock 94 wasn't short on unusual or downright bizarre moments. One of the most jaw-dropping moments came early during Jackal's Friday performance. Lead singer Jesse James Dupree came on stage wielding a bottle of whiskey and a joint, which he lit and exhaled directly into a stage camera. The crowd erupted in approval as Dupree poured alcohol onto fans, lit a stool on fire, and began attacking it with a chainsaw. Then came the grand finale. He fired a rifle into the air. Though apparently firing blanks, the act shocked many, and Dupree even managed to cut his hand in the process, wiping blood across his forehead like a warrior's mark. Aphex Twin's set offered its own kind of controversy. Known for his experimental electronic music, Richard D. James found himself abruptly cut off mid-performance after allegedly signing a fake name on his contract, a move that would have invalidated Polygram's rights to the set. Promoters had him disconnected, pulling the plug on what might have been one of the weekend's more eclectic offerings. Saturday's lineup featured Blind Melon, with frontman Shannon Hoon delivering a performance that raised eyebrows. Wearing his girlfriend's dress and seemingly under the influence of LSD, Hoon meandered through the set, his behavior erratic and unfiltered. Post-show interviews with MTV only reinforced the impression that he was in an altered state, reflecting the type of unpredictability that plagued much of the weekend. Then there was the odd energy surrounding Salt and Peppa's performance. As one of the few hip-hop acts on the bill, the trio faced a crowd that was sometimes unreceptive, bordering on hostile. Their set felt out of sync with the otherwise rock-heavy lineup, and the group later remarked on feeling out of place. Security breakdown.
Well, we just got here. We snuck up. We're coming from Staten Island. I'm gonna get in there somehow.
So you don't have tickets? You've come to crash the festival like they did back in '69?
I am crashing this festival. I'm definitely going right in. The security says they're gonna keep us all out, but there's a lot more people besides us coming. We're just the first people to get here.
With an estimated 350,000 people showing up, more than twice the number of tickets sold, Woodstock 94 quickly became overwhelmed. Security was one of the first things to fall apart. Though checkpoints were in place and outside food and alcohol were banned, attendees easily bypassed flimsy fences and understaffed entrances. Inside, the packed conditions made basic movements difficult and hazardous. Medical staff were stretched thin, treating thousands for dehydration, injuries, and fatigue. By Saturday night, the rules no longer mattered. Attendees climbed speaker towers, wandered into restricted areas, and ignored performance barriers. Even festival organizers admitted they had lost control. What should have been a managed event had turned into a sprawling, muddy free-for-all. Now it's time to hear from you. Were you surprised by how chaotic Woodstock '94 really was? Let us know in the comments section below.